You should start a custom furniture business and live the dream. Listen, quit your crappy job, make all the money in the world, and change your life. Well, what nobody tells you is all the financial cost and the emotional cost that you're going to incur in order to do that. In this video, I'm going to give you the real cost of starting a custom furniture business and what it really looks like. Let's dive in. All right, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Zach Vaught, and if you don't know me, I started my woodworking business in my garage in 2017 with no business skills, had no idea how to market, sell, or grow my business. And because of that, I stalled out. I had to go back and get another job, but I started learning business skills, business principles, started learning how to market, how to sell, how to build a product line, a website, build a reputable brand in my local area. Ultimately scaled that business to a 6,600 square foot commercial space, a showroom, 6 or 7 employees, and over $75,000 a month in revenue, all the while I was working a full-time job. And so I want to talk to you today about this journey of growing and starting a custom furniture or woodworking business. And nobody is super transparent with you or real about the costs. I want to lay down some truth for you today so that you can, if you really feel passionate about doing this, you can go into it with eyes wide open and understand what you're up against. And by the way, there are a lot of benefits, a lot of great things about starting a custom furniture business, but there are some challenges that you need to be aware of. So number one is, let's talk about the true financial costs of starting your custom furniture business. And so we need to talk about tools. What most beginners think they need is that they need just a table saw, a sander, and a drill. But what you actually need to produce sellable work is you need clamps, probably need some type of dust collection, some way to spray finishes or to do finishing, stain, polyurethane, lacquer. You need joinery tools, good blades on all of your stuff. You need a table saw, you need a miter saw, there's a lot more to it than what a lot of these guys are saying online. And there's probably even more to it, if I'm being honest, than I have even said in the past, right? And so you need to constantly be growing your tool chest so that you don't ever get stuck on a project where you can't create a great product. At the end of the day, the product has to be great, because if the product's not great, your business isn't going to keep growing. People aren't going to like it. You're not going to have positive word of mouth or referrals. You're going to get negative reviews. You got to have a great product at the end of the day, okay? So here's some realistic numbers for investing into tools, okay? So you can absolutely bare bones it. Like if you buy used secondhand tools that are still in good shape, but you're not buying it new, you're not getting the Festool stuff out there, or maybe the Milwaukee or the DeWalt stuff, but you're just getting the bare essentials, right? You're getting the Craftsman brand, you're getting the Ryobi, you're getting the whatever that might be that's more affordable, which by the way, I don't poo-poo on any of that stuff. I ran Ryobi drills for years, right? But here's what you're looking at, some realistic numbers. You can bare bones it with secondhand tools for somewhere between $1,500 and $3,000. If you get really savvy on Facebook Marketplace, on eBay, you can get some good stuff that's secondhand, and you can save quite a bit of money. If you want to get fully up and running and have some pretty nice stuff, you're going to probably be in it somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000. Now, one of the things I just want to say is you don't have to do it all at once. I think a lot of people might hear this and they're like, man, I don't have 10 grand. Well, you don't have to go spend 10 grand today to get started. You can get started with more of the bare necessities, right? You need a miter saw, you really need a table saw, some drills, you need some glue and some clamps and a sander. That's really kind of the bare essentials. Then one thing that I'm a huge proponent of is sell a project, then use the deposit you get from the customer to go buy what else you need to complete that project, okay? Once you started to grow and you're really investing and you have a lot of great tools, like let's say you have like commercial grade tools, joiners, planers, band saws, types like that, you're probably going to be in this thing for somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000. Again, just depending upon what specific tools you want to buy. One thing that you need to always just factor in too is material costs, and make sure that you have a healthy ratio of material costs to whatever you're selling the project for. My ratio is I don't ever want to have more than 30% material costs in a project. So if I'm selling a table for $1,000, I don't want more than $300 in materials in it. Right? This is going to allow you to have healthy margins, reinvest in the business, grow the business, invest in marketing, whatever that might be. Okay. So one thing a lot of people really don't think about, don't factor in, is they don't factor in what it's going to cost to get customers. What does it cost to acquire customers? And so there's a couple different ways to approach this. Most guys just kind of sit around twiddling their thumbs. They might post on Facebook Marketplace a little bit. They have a hope-to strategy. They hope that something comes in. You're not going to be able to scalably and predictably grow a business that way. You need to have a marketing budget, right? And so I have always tried to set a marketing budget of around 10% of whatever revenue I'm trying to generate for the month, right? So if I want to have a $10,000 month, I want to spend about $1,000 in ads. If I want to have a $50,000 month, I want to spend about $5,000 in ads. Guys, at the height of my business before I sold it, I was spending usually somewhere between like $7,000 and $9,000 a month in ads. Right? And you're like, holy crap, that's a lot of money. I know it is a lot of money, but when you're generating between 75 and 100 grand a month in sales, it works. The economics make sense, right? And so you just got to make sure that you're getting a good return on what you're spending. And then you also got to just maximize your efforts, right? Outside of what you're spending on ads. Okay. And then the other thing here is just operational expenses. So for most of you guys, this really isn't that big of a deal. You're working out of a small shop at the house or a garage or a 2-car garage or whatever. You really aren't incurring a ton of overhead. But as soon as you move into a commercial space, that changes. You've got rent, you've got internet, heating and cooling if you've got the option to heat and cool your space, you've got electricity. And so all this stuff starts to add up and you need to start factoring that into your pricing structure, right? But this is what you're looking at, financial costs. The main thing is tools, and then you need a game plan. How am I going to get customers? How am I going to build my online presence? I need a website. I need the ability to generate traffic and point it to my website or point it to my social media pages, right? These are absolutely mission critical, essential components that are going to cost you something financially. Okay. Now, the beautiful thing is that if you do it right, you're not just blowing money, but you're actually putting $1 in and getting $3 to $4 to $5 back out or more. And so if you do it right, these are investments that produce a return on investment, right? And so this is one of the things that I just want to encourage all of you guys out there that have a wife that's always like, why are you buying more tools, right? You probably need to quit buying tools and you start investing in revenue producing things. Your tools alone aren't going to produce revenue. You need to get customers. As you get customers, you get projects, that's going to make you some money. And then you can justify getting that next tool a whole lot easier to your spouse, right? Part 2, and this one is so important. This is where everybody goes wrong. I just did a video a couple weeks back. I mentioned this, but this is the reinvestment trap. This cannot be optional for your first 3 to 6 months, or even maybe up to 12 months, depending upon how rapidly you're growing. Your first several projects are not income. They are investment. You're buying credibility, reviews, photos, speed, and systems. You should use your first several projects to focus on these things. Create a great product, create a great experience, improve my credibility. I'm trying to get reviews. I'm trying to get great content, great photos, great videos, improve my speed and my cadence inside of the shop, establish systems that are going to help me get more done faster, right? These are essential. What you need to focus on is you need to be reinvesting probably 50 to 80% of all profit back into the business. So back into more tools, back into more learning, more education, more ads, more leads, more customers. You need to be reinvesting. This needs to become a way of life, a way of thinking for you. Because if you have a little itty bitty business that's making $3 to $5,000 a month, you have a pie, let's say that's this big, and let's say at the end of that month, you have $2,500 in net profits. Woohoo, you made 50% profit, you did good, and you pull all of it and you go buy the gun that you've been wanting, or you go blow it on something else, or even if you use it for something meaningful like paying off debt or going on a family vacation or whatever that might be. It's a good reason to pull the money, but what you leave is you leave your business just like a atrophied, shriveled up little kid that can't survive, right? Like your business needs nutrients to survive. The number one nutrient for a business is money. It needs money to continue to grow, continue to develop, continue to flourish, right? And so what you ultimately want to do with this reinvestment mindset is I want to keep pouring money, dumping money back into my business until I have a much bigger pie that I can cut a little slice out of and provide for my family, do whatever I want to do, but I have a healthier business, right? And so other things that you just need to know about reinvesting is that tool upgrades really don't ever quit. They eventually do. They eventually slow down. But for the first couple years, you're constantly going to be moving from lower quality stuff to higher quality stuff. You're going to be thinking, oh man, I'd really love to have that straight line rip saw or that drum sander or that wide belt sander. And you're constantly going to be investing in new things. So just come to terms with that. You're going to be always spending more money on tools. Number 3 is that marketing becomes a non-negotiable. I already talked about this briefly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but if you want to consistently drive revenue predictably inside of your business, you got to spend money on marketing. It's not optional. You have to do it, right? The last one here, just to talk about, is the reality of how cash flow works. You only get paid when you get a deposit, when somebody writes an order with you, or you get something out the door. So if you are slow to get deposits or slow to get something out the door, or both, you're going to have no money flowing into the business. And you're going to still have money going out because you're buying materials, you're paying for marketing, you're doing those sorts of things. So the two big levers we got to make sure that we're always pulling is how am I closing sales and how am I getting stuff out the door, right? Because if I'm slow to get stuff out the door, it's going to slow my cash cycle way down. You want to make sure that your profit is arriving before all of your expenses are hitting. That's really what we're trying to accomplish, and that we always have an oh crap buffer inside of our accounts. The last thing I'll just say on that is that your ability to manage cash flow is way more important than your talent. It's way more important than your gifting. If you can't manage cash flow, doesn't matter how good of a woodworker you are, how incredible, if you're God's gift to the world as a craftsman, it does not matter because you can't sustain your business. Okay, you got to be able to manage cash flow. Now, part 3, the emotional costs that nobody talks about. One of the number one things that is so difficult for a lot of people is to overcome that imposter syndrome right out of the gate when you're charging legitimate money for your projects. When you're charging $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $8,000 for a project, it's like, holy smokes, I can't believe I'm actually charging this much money. Who am I to charge this much money, right? And it is a struggle because you're afraid you're going to lose unhappy customers. And if you're charging a lot of money and something goes wrong on these projects, there's a lot of money on the line, right? So you got to make sure that you got your bases covered and you're taken care of. That's number 1, is the pressure of charging real money. Number 2 is the loneliness of building alone. You're the builder, you're the marketer, you're the designer, you're the accountant, you're the messenger, you're the problem solver, and there's nobody that's walking on this journey with you unless you join the Woodworking Business Accelerator program, which I talk about almost in every single video. Then you don't have to walk alone. But the reality is that there's nobody there to save you. And this is one of the things that I think slaps people just like us right in the mouth when we start, is that in a W-2 job, you've always had a manager, you've always had somebody to kind of direct your steps. Like, hey, this is what you need to be working on, this is what you need to be focusing on. Hey, you've had this problem, let me help you solve this problem. The market is brutal. It is cold. It is unforgiving. And when you wander out into it as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, whatever it tells you is the truth. If you can't sell anything, your product sucks or your sales skills suck. And that's a cold reality that you have to face. There's nobody there to really guide you, nobody there to really save you. You've got to figure it out, right? And so most makers burn out not from the work, but from wearing 10 different hats. And this is one of the biggest emotional weights that you're going to carry as you get started, is that you have to do all these things and you don't know how to do half of them very good at all. And so you're just like, man, I just want to build furniture. That's where my heart is. That's what I love. But in order to build a business, you got to get good at other things, right? So number 3, this one's huge. And this is how it affects your family. If you are just blowing and going as fast as you can, everything else in your life is thrown to the wayside, your family's really going to suffer from that. You have to put systems in place so that I have times that I'm working and I'm focused on work, and then I'm times where I'm fully disengaged and I'm engaged with my family. Nights and weekends in the shop, it wears down your family. It'll wear out your spouse. Stress from the unpredictable income is going to stress your family out, and balancing passion with responsibility. You got to be responsible still. You can't just lose yourself in your work. Businesses are seasonal. You might start and come to a business and be done with it in 5 years or 10 years, or you might have it for 30 years. Who knows? But the person that you marry, the kids that God gave you, they're there for a lifetime. Don't neglect those for the sake of a business. The last one I'll just say here for the emotional cost is that you have to go through an identity shift that can be pretty hard. And so the identity shift is you can't just be a woodworker anymore. You have to become a business owner. There's actually a lesson inside of the Woodworking Business Accelerator program right at the beginning, and it's called Death to the Woodworker, Birth to the Business Owner. You have to get away from being so consumed by the work that you can't see the big picture. The big picture is that in order to take this thing where you really want to go, where you're really passionate about, you have to get better at these other skills, right? These business related skills. And so that transition, it's going to demand a mindset shift. It's going to demand resilience, and it's going to also demand a lot of humility and maturity. And if you can't walk through this and constantly learn and grow, man, it's going to be a long, emotionally weighty, heavy journey. Now, let me tell you why it's worth it. Here's where the rewards start. You get to have creative freedom. You get high ticket potential. So when you close your first $5,000 deal, when you make $5,000 a month at your job and you have one conversation and sell something for $5,000, you're going to be like, what have I been doing? Right? This is life altering. I'll never forget this. I'll never forget having a conversation, selling something for $10,000 for the first time. You're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. This is even a thing, right? I work 40 hours a week all month long, and I bring home $4,000 or $5,000, and I just sold something to somebody for the same amount of money, and it took me 3 hours. When that happens for the first time, you're gonna be like, what the frick? It totally changes the way that you think, okay? And it's powerful, it's super awesome. Watching strangers pay thousands of dollars for your ideas, stuff that you came up with. This is also one of the coolest things, like when you get to the point where you hire your own salesperson, you don't even interact with the customers anymore, but you like check in with your salesperson and they're like, yeah, I sold 12 grand. It was a great Saturday. I had a bunch of people come to the showroom. I sold 17 grand in the showroom today. And you're like, what in the world? I wasn't even there and my business made 17 grand. It's so cool. It's so awesome. If you build it the right way, you can get freedom from a 9-to-5. One of the greatest reasons to have a business is to build it so that you're not a slave to a 9-to-5 anymore or a slave to the business. So if you get a lot of flexibility, if you can build it to the point where you have flexibility, man, it's super rewarding. You know, I got to the point in my business where my primary role was that I was managing the team, making sure everybody's good, working together well, and managing cash flow. That's really what I was doing. That was managed through one conversation every morning, just touching base with my team. I was really never in the shop, never in the showroom. I had a full team that was basically running my business for me. The last couple that I'll leave with you here are, one of the things that's really fun is building a reputable brand. When you build a brand, and I knew we'd built something good when, like in our local Facebook group, somebody posts like, hey, I'm looking for a custom table. You guys have any recommendations? And everybody there, or 70% of everybody there, is recommending my business. Like, that is super cool, especially in a big city, right? It's like, hey, this is the guy that you need to go to. That's a great feeling. And when you get there, like, man, all this time that I've spent grinding this out, it's been worth it. And the last one here is turning your craft into legacy level work. When you are building products that are going to last for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, that's just such a cool feeling. And when you build something that's truly beautiful, that you deliver it and the customer gets it and they are ecstatic, they're freaking out over how beautiful it is, that's awesome, right? Super rewarding. So just to wrap this thing up, starting and building a custom furniture company is hard. You're going to have a lot of financial costs. You're going to have a lot of emotional costs. You're going to need to reinvest back into your business. But if you do it right and you have a roadmap that really can help you get there faster, man, it is so rewarding. And there's so many benefits to doing it. You know, if you're passionate about it, it can be one of the absolutely most rewarding things that you could ever do. Our mission here on this channel, and then inside of my own business that actually generates revenue for me, is to be your guide. It's to help you on your journey. We have so many resources. You know, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos here on YouTube, and it's my goal to be your guide and to help you. And so we have tons of free content. We have all of the podcast, Handmade Business Secrets podcast. We have everything here on YouTube. We have my free ebook that I wrote that really shares the business principles. Then we have some paid stuff that can help you if you're really serious and ready to take it to the next level. And this is where we get more involved. And this is where we put a lot of really detailed time and attention into building something great. And that is the Handmade Hero Academy for those of you that are just starting out. But if you're watching this, you're like, I'm trying to pick a product. I'm trying to figure out how to take better photos. I'm trying to really start from scratch and test the market and see what they're going to respond to. The Handmade Hero Academy is going to be a great fit for you. And it's low cost. It's inexpensive. If you sell just one piece of furniture based on what you learn in that program, it's going to more than pay for itself. Okay. But if you are serious, if you're a player, if you're the top 1% type thinker out there and you're ready to scale your custom furniture company, it doesn't matter if you're just getting ready to start or you've been in it for a little bit and you're ready to take it to the next level. We help people just like you all across the world predictably scale your custom furniture companies. We've done this over 220 times. We've generated over $16 or $18 million in total top line revenue for all of our clients. And so if that is you and you're ready to go to the next level, you're ready to get to $20,000 months, $50,000 months, $100,000 months, it doesn't matter. We can help you get there. Fill out the form below. Click the third link, fill out the form, book a call with me. You're going to speak with me directly. I don't have anybody right now that's taking calls for me. I like to connect with everybody that might be joining the program. And so I'm here to help. I'm here to be your guide, and I'm here to shortcut the timeline, help you shortcut the timeline to become successful. It took me 5 or 6 years to get where I was. And we've condensed all that information, all that knowledge to help you get there in a matter of 18 to 24 months. And so with that, love and appreciate you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.